My name is Derek Wolfe. I'm a Super Bowl champion and a 10-year NFL vet. Now, after a decade of professional football, I'm focusing on my other passions. Hey everybody, welcome to the Wolfe Untamed podcast. Today we're going to be interviewing somebody that needs no introduction, but we're going to introduce him anyways. Peyton Manning. Peyton is a 5-time NFL MVP. He's won 2 Super Bowls. He was a Super Bowl MVP in 2006 with the Colts, and he won one again with me in 2015 with the Broncos. It was great catching up with him and all the things he's got going on now, so I'm excited for you guys to listen. Peyton, man, really appreciate you coming on. We'll start it off now with, I really want to know what are the core memories from that 2015 season? If you could pick like 2 or 3 memories, things that you remember the most about that season. We'll leave out the Kansas City game and let's just think about the other stuff.
Derek, I felt like going into that season that we had a good bond, right? We had a good locker room. I still feel that way. The teams that are winning, the players get along. They hang out away from the facility. They're not just working together at practice and on game day. And I felt like that team had a good bond. We had a cast of characters, including yourself, including TJ Ward, Vaughn, Akeem. And I think that's important, right? I don't think you can have all the same types of people or personalities on a team. You need a mix. But the one thing that was common amongst those guys was that everybody was competitive. Everybody loved football. I don't think, nobody should ever have to, but I think that bunch would have played for free, right? I mean, everybody loved football that much. To me, that's a great quality. Like, would that player play for free? Does he love it that much, or does he just want to do it as a job? I think we had a bunch of guys that loved ball that year. DeMarcus kind of being the defensive veteran leader, and I guess me on offense. That was a good combination, right? We had a good mix of youth and experience. So, as being here the same amount of time as me since 2012, we were knocking on the door. We'd been to a Super Bowl 2 years before, so we knew kind of that we were doing something right. We just had to take kind of one extra step. And, to me, the guys that have been there since 2012, like you and me, look, sometimes you have to go through some adversity, right? And you have to get your heart broken in a Super Bowl to realize, hey, it's hard to get back. We're going to keep working and try to get there. So sometimes those disappointing losses kind of make it even sweeter when you actually do get there and you do overcome it all and you do win it all. So, for me, it was a special memory. It's a special season. It was my last season. I didn't know it was going to be my last season probably until kind of the playoff run is when I kind of, without announcing it, I kind of sensed that this probably be my last run. So I definitely kind of soaked it up there toward the end and sort of enjoyed the journey, not just the destination. And I appreciate you and Vaughn and DeMarcus taking care of business and helping me win the last game.
Well, we appreciate you, Peyton, man. Your leadership was, you really can't put a price on that leadership. I tell people all the time the talks that we used to have at breakfast where you told me one time, do you want to be good or you want to be great? Stop fucking around. And I was like, all right, I locked it in. And, it was just great to see how you didn't treat anybody different in the locker room. Everybody was treated the same. And I always appreciated that about you because, you're as big a star as there is, man. Like, you're the best, in my opinion, the best quarterback to ever play the game. And to watch you operate on a day-to-day basis, pulling up in that Buick and walking into work with a suitcase, with like, what would you call it? A little briefcase, and you were just always about business, man. But you also had fun. You always had playing jokes on people and having fun. I remember you turned my feet purple and you sent Stokely up to my room with a big bucket of water and I caught him. So just those times, like I really appreciate.
Well, I appreciate that. Look, that's my greatest takeaway from all the years in playing, Derek. It's actually not a game. It's not the Super Bowl victory. It's the relationships and friendships that I made. And that's what I love about football, right? The different players coming from different backgrounds, right? It doesn't matter on Sunday afternoon at 2:15, Mountain Time, right? When you were kicking off, we're all brothers. We're all on the same team, all trying to accomplish the same goal. And I love that. And that's actually my advice to all quarterbacks is, hey, don't just hang out with the quarterbacks or don't just hang out with the offense. Eat breakfast with a defensive tackle, right? Talk to the rookie linebacker. Get to know these guys, because as a quarterback, especially, you want everybody playing hard because that's going to help you. And so I'm glad you remember and appreciate those breakfasts that we had.
Oh, I do. I remember all the stuff you used to. Some of the thing I won't tell everybody. Some of the stuff you said. But I remember, telling me about making plays, and that one always stuck with me too. We won't bring that one up.
There we go.
The other one that you told me, you said max out my 401k, and I did that, and I'm really thankful that I took that advice.
Well, yeah, look, I think there's a lot. I mean, it's even more now on these players now, Derek, because it's kind of starting in college with the NIL, and you get drafted, and I mean, I remember you. I mean, all you wanted to do was figure out, hey, how do I fit into this defense, and kind of earn my position or whatnot. So you got the football part of it, and now you got money in your pocket for the first time, and you got people pulling on you. So I just remember some veteran players when I was a rookie with the Colts kind of giving me some advice off the field, some financial advice, because unfortunately, a lot of players get bad advice and can make some decisions that they kind of regret. So that was just me kind of paying it forward to some of the veteran players that kind of helped me when I was a young player.
Yeah, that was great advice. I always told everybody afterwards, I was like, max out your 401k. Just do it. Trust me, it's the right move. Hey guys, I want to talk to you about one of my favorite sponsors, Juniper Mountain Coffee. Coffee without compromise. You're getting high quality coffee without the high prices. This is an American company that stands behind their values. They stand behind their coffee. These guys make some of the best coffee I've ever had. It's a coffee I drink every morning. Juniper Mountain Coffee works directly with the farmers, paying fair wages, and that way you have no middleman. There's no BS, no garbage. You're getting high quality products. So go check them out at junipermountaincoffee.com. I want to move on to the next question, which was because we talked about the NIL already, but what are your thoughts on the evolution of the game since, because it's funny because you were drafted in 98, right?
Yep.
And I told you when I was first your teammate that I was 8 years old when you came into the NFL, Peyton, and you were like, "Don't ever say that to me again."
That was if you would have been an offensive player that said that, I probably wouldn't have thrown you a lot of passes that year, right? Don't draft Wolfe on your fantasy team. He's not going to get the ball this year after reminding me of how old I am.
So what do you think about that? What is like the evolution of the game now? There's kids are getting money in college. Yeah. So like you said, we're not coming to the league. They're not coming to the league broke anymore. Because I had $7 in my pocket when I got drafted. Yeah. So it was like, they put all that money in your account and it's just different. So now they should already be learning financial literacy at that young age, and then it's just crazy to me. So I'm interested to see what you think of that.
There's no doubt that it's different. And I was actually back at the University of Tennessee about a month ago, and the Coach Heupel wanted me to talk to the team and kind of a little bit about that, believe it or not, which is kind of hard to believe. Usually when you go back and talk to a college team, it's about working hard. It's about the pride in the university. And now there's other things that are on these guys' plates. And like you said, that's other things they have to think about besides just, getting their degree, being the best football player you can be, which those were the goals that I had when I went to play college. I want to be the best football player I could be, want to get a great education. And now there's more to that. So look, I hope the passion for the game is still there. That doesn't get taken away from these kids. And look, I hope all of them. It's I understand it's good to have goals, and I hope every kid gets to have a chance to keep playing in the NFL, but also to enjoy the college experience. Right? I remember you talked about your time at Cincinnati, and you love Butch Jones, who ended up coaching at Tennessee. Right? I mean, there still needs to be that great coach-player relationship and the bond with your teammates, as opposed to just using college as just this stepping stone to get to the NFL. And these kids that are transferring 2 and 3 times, I'm like, golly, I feel like that kid's probably not getting the same college experience that that I had or you had or others have. And so, I'm concerned about that a little bit. And you hope they come into the NFL with still the same drive and determination that you had, right? That I had, because you haven't, earned anything at that point. It was really, for me, I worked a summer job in college, but kind of my first job. And now is the time to go earn it, right? You hope they don't think that they've actually kind of made it because they made some money in college, and you hope they have that same hunger and drive. Obviously, it depends on the individual. So, it's no doubt it's different. But look, I still love college football. I love the pageantry of it. To me, there's always something different than the NFL and college football. I hope we don't lose kind of what made college football so special.
Yeah. I think they are missing out on what, like you said, the transferring 2 or 3 times. If you didn't, there was times where I was like, man, I got to get out of here, and I'm sure you felt the same way when you first got to Tennessee. You probably felt like, man, I don't know if I can do it. Like, I don't know if I think I need to be somewhere else maybe. And I'm so happy that I stuck it out.
Right.
That and it worked out for me. I had this conversation with Joe Burrow too. And I was like, do you think you made the right decision? He's obviously he did, right? It worked out. But I was like, what were you thinking at that time? And he said he was just like, man, I looked around in the room and I was like, I'm never going to play.
Right.
In that case, it made sense for him to go. But
yeah.
these guys that are just like, oh, this coach doesn't like me. If the coach doesn't like you, there's probably a reason. It's probably your fault. That's just, so it's like, maybe you need to look inside of yourself and change something about yourself and not go change to another coach. And it just, I think it's making it tough on these NFL coaches because these guys come to the league and they've been babied really. So it makes me nervous for what kind of player you're going to be getting into the NFL. The guy that's switched schools 3 or 4 times, gets drafted in the first round, and then now he's expecting things to be a certain way.
I would certainly think, as these NFL evaluators, I mean, they look at everything, right? I mean, they're looking at certainly how you play on the field, how you treat the equipment manager, how you treat the video director. They're researching all of that, right? And that's my message to college players is that, hey, it's more than just kind of how you play on the field, right? They're going to do their homework, treat those equipment managers well, right? I mean, those guys are washing socks at midnight, right? I mean, show them you appreciate them, and no different in the NFL is as I know you appreciated our Broncos equipment guys. And so, but there's no doubt, they are kind of researching and that and who is, still hungry to come out and improve themselves. And like I said, you can't speak for all of them, but you hope that these college players still have that drive to try to, keep being the great player and to kind of earn it. Right. And that's kind of the message I've always said, Derek, when you get drafted, when you were drafted by Cincinnati, I never felt like you thought, okay, I've done something, right? It's not really a reward that they drafted you. It's, hey, Derek, this is what we expect you to do for us now, right? We expect you to be a disruptor, right? We're going to give you this contract, but you got to go earn it, right? And that's my message for young players now in college, especially in the NFL, is go earn it, right? Go earn it by going to work every day and being the player that they expect you to be. That's why they drafted you, right? It's not really the time to celebrate. It's the time to go to work.
Yeah, that's when the real work starts.
That's right.
Peyton, I want to move on to the big news that I heard is that Bill Belichick's going to be joining you on the ManningCast. What can we expect from that? Because I mean, he's just such an interesting guy. And we got to see him open up a little bit on the roast.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you finish. Yeah.
Sorry, but we got to see him open up a little bit on the roast. So I'm interested to see if you can pull it out of him.
Eli and I talk about, of course, Eli has a different feeling about Belichick than I do. I mean, Eli beat him in 2 Super Bowls. So, I'm kind of curious. I've asked myself sometimes, because I kind of pursued him, believe it or not. We sort of recruited him. He was being courted by some of the other networks. And I'm like, why am I trying to recruit a guy that basically made a large part of my NFL career miserable by, gloomy games in Foxborough and 3 interceptions, 4 interceptions? Like, why do I want to work with this guy? This guy beat me the majority of the time. But look, I've had a chance to be around Bill Belichick at a couple of Pro Bowls. Derek, we played golf together in a couple of tournaments, and I've always been fascinated with his football mind, his recall, his just look. He's not just a defensive, mastermind. I mean, he's just a football coach, right? And what I've always respected about Bill Belichick, that he's never stopped coaching, right? He's never gone up into the tower, right? And just said, all right, I have all my assistants.
Mm-hmm.
You guys run practice. I'm going to sit up here and blow the whistle. I've always said, like, I think the same about Nick Saban. I think Bill Belichick would prefer to be the linebackers coach for the Patriots and just coach football, right? Saban coaches the secondary at Alabama. I love that about those guys. They never got away from the things they were doing when they were young assistant coaches, early in their careers. And so he's very much a coach. And I think that the goal for Eli and I and the Monday Night Show this year is to have Bill on there in the first half to get some real insight as to what is going to happen in this game, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Hey, guys, this is what the Eagles are going to have to do to try to slow down Patrick Mahomes in this game, right? Mm-hmm. Look for them to, jam Kelsey at the line. We can't give Kelsey a free relief, whatever that may be. I think it's going to be fascinating to kind of hear that insight. And the last thing I'll say about Belichick, Brady always told me this. He felt it gave him a huge edge. The two of them would sit down on Monday or Tuesday before their game week, and Bill would just sort of give Tom a little state of the union about this team we're about to play. Hey, they have a young quarterback. They're not scoring a lot of points. They're going to blitz you a lot. This is the guy we've got to contain. Just a little football one-on-one. And Tom said it just kind of gave him a sort of a calming presence, like, wow, this is all we really need to do to win this game. And he was right. And Tony Dungy did that for me when I played for the Colts, right? Defensive background, but hey, Peyton, this is what this defense is being taught. These are probably the holes in this defense. This is what we need to take advantage of. And so it was a totally different perspective for me. So Eli and I are excited, to have Bill's insight. I think he's witty. He's funny. You saw that kind of on the roast a little bit. And I think the audience will enjoy it.
Yeah. Wade Phillips did that for us as well.
Yeah.
He would feed us so much information, but it would be these key plays that he was like, if we stop this play and that play, if we stop these two plays, we've taken their whole playbook away from them, because everything is derived off of these two plays and these two players. And that was just invaluable.
All right, guys, I want to talk to you about a product that I've been using for a long time, over a decade. When I was playing football, one of my main staples in my diet was bison. I got my bison from Great Range Premium Bison. They make some of the finest cuts of bison you can get. These guys have ribeyes, ground beef, all the steaks that you want. My favorite part about Great Range is that you don't have to worry about antibiotics or growth hormones in their meats. Great Range Premium Bison is a family-owned company providing bison meat from family-owned ranches around the country. So please go check out greatrangebison.com.
Next, I want to move on to you guys. Was this Omaha Productions, or was it you that executive produced Full Court Press?
Yeah. So Omaha was one of the producers on the show, and I was an executive producer. It was really cool to be a part of. We started it, Wolf, with the quarterback show we did on Netflix with Mahomes, Cousins, and Marcus Mariota, following these three players throughout the season. That was kind of the first follow documentary that we did, and women's college basketball had a real movement around that time. And I don't know, we just kind of said, hey, how cool would it be to kind of do this in another sport? And let's do it in women's college basketball. Obviously, Caitlin Clark was sort of the Patrick Mahomes that we started with. If we can get Caitlin, and then we'll find two other players. Because we found these things, Derek, they're better when it's more than just one person, right? Yeah. They're better when it's multiple athletes. You see a mix. You see different trials they're going through. Obviously, Caitlin Clark is incredible, but Camila Cordoza from Brazil, her mother had never seen her play, has just overcome a lot. And then Kiki Rice is this superstar out of UCLA. So it was, what's funny about all these shows that we've done, Derek, is obviously Mahomes goes to the Super Bowl, wins the MVP. So don't say that following these athletes around with the camera is a distraction, because Mahomes clearly proved that's not true.
Yeah.
And then Clark and Cordoza go to the national championship, right? South Carolina wins. Caitlin Clark's, player of the year. So I obviously like that, because, the last thing you want to do is bother these athletes in any way. We just want to be a fly on the wall watching them, what they do behind the scenes. So we appreciate them trusting us And like I said, I've always had appreciation for college basketball, women's college basketball, because at Tennessee, Derek, Pat Summitt was our head coach. Tennessee won 3 national championships in the 4 years that I was there. They were a dynasty. So Pat Summitt was a great friend and mentor to me. So I've had a real respect and appreciation for the women's game. And so it was cool to do it with these 3 athletes.
Yeah, I think it's great. And both of those shows were just phenomenal. So I'm excited to see what you guys do next.
Thanks.
I know you probably don't want to release that yet and let us know, but I'm sure you're working on something. So
always working on something.
Always. That's the one thing you're always doing is something. You're always busy, and that's why I appreciate the time, brother. Like, really appreciate it.
Hey, everybody. This episode is brought to you by Black Buffalo. Black Buffalo's nicotine pouches do not contain tobacco leaf or stem. What they do contain is a ton of flavor, and they're packed with pharmaceutical-grade nicotine. The magic of Black Buffalo is they discovered a way to make cured edible green leaves behave like the texture of tobacco. And they add food-grade ingredients for industry-classic flavors. You're in good company if you roam with the Black Buffalo herd. The business was built by dippers with decades of smokeless tobacco use. They manufacture their tobacco alternatives with respect for those products that came before them. Bold flavors, full pouches, metal lids, and a brand that stands for something: American. Their products are also proudly endorsed by brand ambassadors such as MMA Hall of Famer Cowboy Cerrone, NASCAR champion Brian Blaney, rising country star Larry Fleet, and Rob O'Neill, former U.S. Navy SEAL Team 6. So if you're 21 and older and you consume nicotine or tobacco and you want to join the Black Buffalo herd, head over to blackbuffalo.com to learn more. You can order nicotine pouches online, and they ship directly to most states. Or you can check out their store locator to purchase pouches at thousands of retail locations around the country. Black Buffalo, an American brand, pouches worth respect.
So let's talk about your transition. How was the transit? Just real quick, what was the hardest part about transitioning from a player to a media personality and a broadcaster and a business owner and a producer and all these things that you're doing? What was that transition like?
Yeah, look, I don't know about you, but I mean, only thing I ever knew that I wanted to do was play football. Mm-hmm. And when you're doing it, I think the game deserves you to go all in, right? And not make too many plans for what's next, right? Because I think that's not fair to the guy in the locker next to you, right? I mean, you better be all in on your current job. And so I was wired that way. I know you were wired that way. And so when you stop playing, like, it's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy, I don't think. It's like, all right, let me figure out what this next chapter is. And Tony Dungy, who I mentioned earlier, he's still a great mentor. He kind of said, hey, take some time. Do not sign up for something right away. Don't jump into something that because you feel like you got to be busy, and then you don't really like doing that, right? And then and getting out of it kind of is ugly. So I took some time, and then I tried to figure out what I didn't want to do, right? And I just didn't think I'd be a great coach, believe it or not. People say that, oh, you'd be a great coach. I was good at calling plays, Derek, when I was playing quarterback, not necessarily when anybody else was playing quarterback. So, and then I maybe didn't want to do the traditional broadcasting because of sort of the time it took you away from your kids on the weekends and whatnot. Our kids were young at the time. So anyway, I kind of took a little time, and then, some other opportunities kind of came about. I get to broadcast a game from my neighbor Scott's garage here in Denver with my brother Eli. And, whoever would have thought that? But I get to stay close to the game. I get to be at my kids' sporting events on the weekends and get to work with my brothers. So it's been a fun thing to be a part of.
Are you still coaching, Marshall?
Yeah, still coach. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, look, Derek, my dad didn't necessarily coach me, but he was always at our sporting events. He was at our Little League baseball games. He was at my basketball games, and I'd see him in the stands, and that was important to me. Like I said, didn't necessarily coach me, maybe a couple years in some youth basketball, but he was there. My mom and dad were there. And so that, I don't know, that just felt like that's the right thing to do for me.
It is.
I'm busy. I'm still, I do way too many commercials. I apologize. But, I'm at my daughter's volleyball games. I'm at my son's baseball games. I do, coach youth football because it's a parent coach league. And So me and some other dads, do the youth football, but basketball, baseball, and volleyball, I'm just a parent, right? I'm there in the stands, and I love that. But I love being there to be available to be in the stands and watch them, because that's how my parents did it with me and my brothers, and I've tried to follow that same lead in this second chapter.
Yeah, being a great dad. That's awesome. I love that, because that's what you are first, right? You're a father and a husband.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what matters most. So let's talk about giving back, right? We're talking about giving back to our kids. Let's talk about what you do to give back to the community. You have what's the name of the PeyBack Foundation?
Yeah.
So what is that? What is that about? I'm just always interested in everybody else's foundations, because I have the Wolfpack Foundation, so I'm interested to hear about the PeyBack Foundation.
Yeah, Ashley kind of came up with the name. It was in my second year in the NFL. PeyBack, sort of spelled the same way as Peyton, and kind of appropriately named, sort of paying back to the communities that have been a part of our lives, right? So, that's Louisiana, where I grew up, Tennessee, where Ashley's from, where I went to school, Indiana, where we lived, and I played for the Colts, and now Colorado, where we've lived for the last 12 years. So try to help out kids that don't have life easy. We give grants to more programs, Wolf, that directly impact these kids, who have some tough circumstances. And, a Boys and Girls Club would be an example, or any programs that are helping and looking out for kids. And so it's been really enjoyed the foundation. We really try to, like I said, help the communities that have been a big part of our lives, right? And still real involved with the Children's Hospital in Indianapolis. It's called the Peyton Manning Children's Hospital. That's been a fun team to be a part of, just helping to raise money for it.
You have a hospital named after you?
Yeah, I was involved with this hospital right when I got
awesome.
to Indianapolis, and then in 2007 they actually renamed it, and that's been a special honor for me. And now that I live here in Denver, having that connection to Indianapolis, where I played for 14 years, and helping raise money for these doctors and nurses to help have the resources to help kids, get healthy. That's sort of, I'm driven on that. So you talk about the real power of teamwork, Wolf. These doctors and nurses working together to help someone get healthy is pretty powerful.
That's awesome, man. Really proud of you for doing that. That's having a hospital named after you. It's just like incredible. Probably. I bet that was a great honor. And Peyton, I know your time is short, so I'm going to let you go now. And I really appreciate you, brother, again. And if you ever need anything from me, let me know. I'm just right down the street, and I'm actually building a house right there in your neighborhood, pretty close to you. So
I love
hopefully
it.
we see each other.
Do you babysit? I mean, what's the hourly rate on babysitting two 13-year-olds?
13? Oh man, I already went through those 13-year-olds, man. The attitude is just out of control.
I hear you.
I'll let you go, brother. I hope everything's going great. I know it is. So I'll see you soon.
Thanks, pal. All the best. Appreciate you.
Thanks everybody for listening to the Wolfe Untamed podcast. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe. See you next week.